Hello. Welcome. This is that Sunday show, episode 9 of the season. Wow, we're starting to really rack up the numbers here. I'm your host this evening, Andrew Stewart. Two cracking guests as always. Two a lot happier guests from where we were in midweek. Discussing our Rangers win. First of all, Cheryl, how are you?
I'm all right, thank you very much. As we said before, this is the second weekend in a row that Rangers haven't wrecked it, so long may it continue.
Oh, please, I hope it continues. I really do. And also, Calvin, we're talking about, Rangers wins. I think your first podcast was a rather downer of an affair, but now we're talking about the good stuff.
Yeah, definitely. A lot happier place tonight. Still places to go, but they got the result today, and that was the most important thing, as we keep saying.
Yes, definitely. Lastly, before we jump into it, a thank you to our sponsors for the season, Rhino Express, Cliveview Joinery, Athol Industrial Solutions, CSD Air Conditioning, Black Rooster, and Art of Gold. Thank you for your support for this year. Thank you. Right, let's get into it. I had a positive note. We'll start with our formation, our starting 11. Some names in there which maybe we weren't too buzzing about, but we'll see how it went. That was my feeling on the supporters bus heading to Hampden. We'll see how this goes. Cheryl, we'll discuss. I'll give you the lineup. You can tell me who you really were interested in seeing how they did today. So Butland in goal, no surprises there. Happy to have Jeffrey back, Leon Balogun, John Suter, James Tavernier, Nikola Raskin, Connor Barron, Nadeem Bijrami, Tom Lawrence, Vaclav Cherny, and Cyril Dessers. There were some names that I was interested to see. Who was your kind of standout of those guys? Who were you thinking could have an impact on the game today?
I'm happy, obviously, to see Barron and Raskin in midfield together. I know it was difficult for them on Wednesday, but overall they work very, very well together. And I think they're definitely the preferred two at the moment rather than Barron and Diomande. I'm going to be slightly negative, and I wasn't surprised, but I was slightly surprised. I thought after Wednesday and his muck up at that second goal that he may have had I knew he wouldn't, but I thought there was a kind of slight chance that he would have had a look at the right back position. I know Casemiro didn't work particularly well at left back. We had Jeffrey back. For me, it would have been Sterling or Casemiro in at right back. But again, I wasn't hugely surprised, although I was disappointed.
Calvin, do you echo those kind of feelings to the squad? I was. I don't want to say upset to see Cyril starting, because I think it's more just that I'm a big man fan. I was hoping it would be Morocco Clock, but I do understand that maybe it wasn't the occasion to chuck him straight into. That's my feelings. What was your feelings on that starting?
I just think when they get to those kind of semi-finals, managers will always go with just what they trust, what they tend to play. There's very few surprises ever gets chucked in when you go to Hampden. The odd curveball, maybe, but I just didn't see him dropping Dessers. He's clearly it's his number one striker. Maybe not after today, because I thought Danilo was very good in how he influenced the game. Just he's moving it in general. Actually offered something in comparison to what happened with Dessers in the first half, especially. So, interesting to see what happens going forward, but I wasn't surprised at all today.
Yeah, let's get into the guts of the game then. The opening 25 minutes, Cheryl, I thought 24 of those minutes were okay for a Rangers standpoint. I thought we were pretty good. We looked lively, looked up for the occasion. And then that sucker punch comes in the 25th minute. Your heads in hands, is this not going to be our day? I was more deflating at the fact that, we did start pretty well, which we don't always do. We seem to need to get kicked up the backside for us to actually, kick into the game. I know we'll mention that effectively is what happened later on in the match. But 25 minutes, good, and then a really big low.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think this time last week we were sitting here, the three of us, discussing how poorly we'd started against St Mirren at home, and actually how it was St Mirren that wanted it in the first 20 odd minutes. Last week we scored against the run of play. I thought we started pretty well today. I thought Barron and Raskin ran the midfield again. We had the majority of possession, but as per usual, we were dead easy to defend against. There was just nothing really up front. A couple of spurned chances, but for all the kind of industry that we had in midfield, there was just absolutely nothing. And again, like you said, Andy, Motherwell score, absolute muck up in defence, and you have got your head in your hands thinking, no, this again. But I thought, and what we'll get into, I thought we showed a bit of character, certainly in the second half, to get into things as well. But no, a reasonably good start where I think in the past few games, if you look at St Mirren, you look at Hibs, St Johnstone, we haven't started particularly well. So I was actually quite glad with this, happy with the start that we made today.
Calvin, we'll talk about that, the goal that we did concede there. I would be surprised by it if I hadn't seen it happen so many times. Maybe just a switch of the side of the park. I can think of, the cross ball that one wing back doesn't get out too quick enough, and the other wing back's caught napping on somebody at the back post. This time it was not Tav at the back post. It was Tav missing, not getting out his man quick enough, in my opinion. I think it was a bit of a mix-up in two centre halves, maybe both going for the same man, and then obviously Jeffrey's. I think he's expecting the ball to go all the way through and out, and doesn't get a shout from one of the midfielders. A bit of a calamity on the goal, but it was more that a lot of pointing of fingers from the back line as we waited on a VAR check, which didn't really go our favour.
Yeah, I think it's just the same. We seem to concede that goal consistently. We've conceded that same goal for how many seasons now? It's whether it goes left to right or right to left. It's probably the most common out with the standard. Put the ball in the top corner for 30 yards. It's get the ball across to the back post. You tend to have somebody napping. And that's probably what we talked about a couple of weeks ago about leaders. It's just nobody seems to be that person that just stands up and just puts their name on it and makes sure that doesn't happen, or he lets somebody else know about it for not kind of doing it today. It was just pointing fingers, like you said again. You looked around, Butland and Tav were going each other. Jeffrey was just disappearing away. It's the same story, but at least we got a reaction from it today, whereas normally it's repeat.
Mm-hmm. Andy, just to pick up on something that Calvin said, I thought that was a great point. But I think what surprised me today was the way that Czerny did that. He was actually willing to come forward, and there was a wee bit of leadership there where we've not seen it from him before. I heard somebody, I can't remember who it was, had said that he looked disinterested. I don't think he's looked disinterested. I think he's looked very lightweight. I think he's kind of struggled with the physicality in our game and looked a wee bit lost at times. But I think today he was one of those people that was driving us forward and actually trying to do something and grabbing the game by the scruff of the neck a wee bit.
Yeah, I'd agree with you there. I think he's slowly starting to find a consistency to his game. I know obviously Aberdeen game was a bit of a shock to everybody in the team, from goalie to striker. I think it was not a brilliant night for the blue jerseys, or the whatever multicoloured third kit you want to call it that we were wearing. I think it kind of suited Czerny. We weren't having the time to run it at the opposition. We've seen that in the previous games where he's found a couple goals. He likes to get the ball at his feet and have a drive at players. I think it was maybe David Edgar listening to the post game for Heart and Hand, mentioning that he's had a tough time. Václav, I'm not going to lie to you, I was parts of this season early on where I thought, is this our Abdallah Sima replacement? I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it, but he's certainly not hiding away from it. And this was a big game, and he was certainly wanting the ball and demanding the ball, and that's what I need from someone that's supposed to drive us forward, and be one of these outstanding players for our club. We get to half time. We know how we all feel. It was some rather loud booing, which I think was right from the support. I think it's a cup we were supposed to be defending. We won it last season, and no disrespect to Motherwell, but we should be beating Motherwell in this cup competition. As the holders, we should be staking a claim out to be going to the final. It didn't look great, Sheryl, but as we've said, we seem to need a kick up the backside, and I hope that it was the manager or his coaching staff that basically says to the players, you have 45 minutes, go out and state your claim, because I think that from the goal onwards, I think we were maybe second best, which is the whole point of that. The duality of the first half, we looked good until they scored, and then we looked pretty poor. Second half, however, we came out the traps and got that goal. A very nice goal, Sheryl.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think a big part of that as well, I know it was a forced substitution, but I think Lawrence coming off as well made a huge difference. I know Diomande is not great in the 10. He's not what we're looking for kind of going forward in that 10 role. But I think Tom Lawrence is going through the part of the Tom Lawrence cycle where he's not offering us very much. He's gone through the bit where he scored a few goals and he's now on to the bit where he's a wee bit of an empty jersey. So you never want to see a player injured, but I was happy that sub was made because I don't know, he stayed on the park for the bulk of the game last Wednesday when he offered very little again. But I felt that Diomande coming in just gave us a wee bit more in the middle of the park, a wee bit more industry. He was getting stuck in again, didn't offer as much as maybe Lawrence does in front of goal, but there was just that wee bit of dig there. Was I surprised? I hoped there would be subs at half time, but I didn't really expect them to be. But again, they came out with kind of, as you said, Andy, the tempo that they started with, and they got stuck in. And again, that's not always something that we've seen from this Rangers team as well. But they did. They started kind of fast. They moved quickly. They got the goal as well. Excellent work from Barron, kind of driving the ball forward, threading it through to Dessers, who lo and behold hits it first time. Which we don't see very often as well, and does a really good job of finishing that goal. So no, I was delighted with that.
Calvin, we'll talk about again that's a bit of link-up play with Tav and Czerny. I think it's a nice through ball from Czerny that goes through the legs of his opposite number, and Conor Barron making that run in. I would like to talk at length about Conor Barron every day until the end of time. I think he's a great player. I think he's every he's a Rangers player, and I was saying we were missing those kind of players. And the Aberdeen game was the biggest example. He didn't have a great night that night, and we needed a Rangers player. He certainly looked like that today. I think him and Raskin put in one of those good shifts that we need from the midfield. I think Cheryl's mentioned that it was a real good shift from our midfield. But I was happy to see him adding that creative side. He came making that late run. He picks out Dessers. He doesn't smash it across the box. He picks out Dessers, and Dessers doesn't take 12 touches before putting in the net for once.
Yeah, it was a great flick inside, and then it was Dessers' finish that showed his composure, which we do get to see now and again, rather than the bit of rash finishing, as we've probably seen in the first half. A couple of good chances went missing, and then he takes probably one of the hardest ones of them all, and it was straight to his feet and just dinks it straight around the keeper with a little flick, which was good. I think that was the big thing about Barron involved in that. It was he got himself further up the park, and you've seen it a lot more in the second half, how much he was getting up. And I think that links back to what you were saying about Diomande coming in for Lawrence. It offered a lot more, just a bit of freedom for the three. And I think with a wee bit of chat and discussion about it during the week in the chat, they have that more freedom. I think with Lawrence, he picks up the number 10 role, which then keeps Bijrami isolated out wide. But having Diomande in there, you notice Bijrami getting a lot more chance to come inside and get those spaces. And it was the same with Barron getting further forward. They were moving around a lot more, getting the energy, creating patterns of play. And how many times have we said we do not have a pattern of play? Today we saw it sometimes, which was a bit of progression at least.
We're not going to go over the top here and commit any more time to talking about Dessers' good performance. We're not psychopaths here, folks, but we're aware of the elephant in the room. We'll talk about that. The substitutions on 67 minutes. Dessers off, Tavernier off. On comes Danilo and Douge on Sterling. Man like Douge, my guy. Those subs, we were crying out for them at half time. It felt like, Cheryl. I know it's obviously, as you said yourself, not expecting them, but kind of slyly hoping for them to happen. And we were rewarded from them. I think when they came on, we started to maybe look a wee bit more we were in control, but it certainly looked like one team was going to get a second goal, and it looked like it was going to be us. And Danilo, I think we'll not go into the goal itself just yet, but we'll talk about Danilo's, his work leading into that goal, because although it's a Bijrami goal from a Czerny assist, Danilo was equally involved in it, and his hard work is also what leads that goal to happen.
Absolutely. Do you know what? He does that thing that obviously Dessers doesn't do as much. If being that presence in the box, that whether he's involved or not, the defenders are on him. They're looking at what he's doing, and he's keeping those defenders busy. And I don't think about the subs. I don't want to turn it into a Tav bashing exercise. But the minute that Sterling came on, his link up, he linked so well with Czerny. You've seen a big difference in Czerny as well, his movement, moving for the ball more, they linked up beautifully. But he looked nervous. He lost the ball so many times. He offered us absolutely nothing going forward. I think it was the second half. He missed an open goal. I don't know about you guys. I don't know. To me, we worry about his legs. I know that Clement's kind of subbed him. He's had the odd game where he hasn't started him. But I think if we want to move forward, we really need to look at Sterling or Casemiro or a mixture of the two. I don't know your thoughts on it, but today, certainly, it was Jeffrey's mistake for the goal, but again, he should have been over there cutting out that cross. We've seen on Wednesday his mistake for that second goal as well, and I thought that the subs completely changed the game, but I think we can't ignore how poor his performance was today.
Yeah, but I can agree with that. I think when you look at the way Sterling, when he came on, how he just offered, like what we say about Tavi, he always gave you that run round the back. He always gave you that energy to get up and down the line. He had the sport, regardless of whether we say he's a good defender or not, he still had the recovery pace. And something you noticed today was in the first half, the Motherwell left winger got on him. One shimmy the feet and he was away. Tav was nearly in his backside. He can't pick up those runs as fast as much anymore. And that's what got him out of so much trouble sometimes, just being able to get himself back in. And I thought when Sterling came in, he had the energy to go past Czerny, which made Czerny get the chance to come inside on his favoured left foot, which leads to the Bijrami chance. But he still was, you've seen Sterling chasing back 60, 70 yards to get back in. And that's something we see every week with Tav now, that he doesn't do it. He's not got the legs to do it, is essentially what we all think.
I don't know if you guys noticed Butland having a go at him as well after that goal. He went for him and he did have a go at him.
It was right in front of where I was. You seen it straight away. It was coming. It's been coming in a few of the players.
I thought of it before the game. I know that there's been a small shuffling in the pack since McGregor's final season, but at times during that final season, I know we were quick to single him out for some poor performances. At times, I felt that he was collapsing to his goal line very often, but I started to feel it was because of the insecurity and maybe having those in front of him. I think we're maybe starting to see that with Butland this season, because I mean, compare last season to now, it's a bit of like night and day. He's not been, as confident and assured as in his performance. I think that's a whole other topic of discussion. I think we're aware of our back line, and that's one of the areas in our squad that can still be strengthened, which is funny saying that after bringing in Robin Propper and him warming the bench. But as I said, whole other podcast you can make on those transfers. Some of them maybe a lack of transfer. But we'll get into we'll discuss the goal into a wee bit more depth. Nadeem the Dream, Cheryl, he finds the back of the net. A fortuitous bounce off the Motherwell player in front of him. But, that takes him to 2 goals in 2 games. I know we said potentially during the week at the Aberdeen goal, it was a moment of brilliance. I think it was a well-worked team goal this time, which is something we need to see more of, because in times, these recent games where we have been getting by, it has been off the back of individual skill, a lovely finish. I think Lawrence had pulled a couple of finishes out there, not the team beautiful goals from starting back to front, like maybe we'd like to see a wee bit more of. I'm not saying it was a brilliant goal, but it was well worked, and I don't think we can take away how dangerous that kind of counter was, and I think all players involved should take a lot of credit for it.
Yeah, absolutely. And do you know what? I don't think we're close, unfortunately, to seeing it anytime soon, but I would love to see him through the middle, the impact that we would have playing him in that number 10 role. But do you know what? Out on the left isn't his natural position. So if he's contributing from there, then and we have so few up front at the moment that are really making those contributions. I think we need to be grateful for that, because you've seen his goal as well, and his goal against Malmo, he has got that in his locker. And he's one of the few players at the moment that is causing a wee bit of excitement, that looks like he can give us those bits of magic as well. So yeah, I think moving him in the middle, ideally, we're not going to see that anytime soon, but I think he's cause for a tiny wee bit of optimism.
Yeah, Calvin, much like the Dua Lipa music at halftime, making my halftime a wee bit better than the first half. Nadeem certainly made my second half a lot better than I thought it might have been. I mean, the guy's got 2 goals in 2 games. I know it's a 2-game window, but scoring back to back certainly does your confidence the world of good. I think it's just game time and tick off another game with Nadeem. As Cheryl said, I would like to see him in the in the middle where he is maybe not more naturally suited. I'm hoping that when Arabi Matondo comes back, you shift him back onto the left and put Bajami through the middle. I don't know if that's just me being a Matondo enthusiast, but I think the prospect of Matondo with some pace, Bajami with some skill, and Czerny with some pace, that 3 looks a bit more dangerous than it certainly has been in previous weeks. I could talk about the team all day, Calvin.
I think most of this I think he seems to be the shining light in the team, isn't he? He's got technical abilities there. He seems to understand what it is playing for Rangers. He's the one that always tries to grab the game. Is essentially he's always wanting the ball. He wants to make things happen. And you are noticing that a bit with Czerny as well now. I think since that interview he did with Czerny, it's like you start to understand where he was just settling in, and he does understand that he needs to perform. But I think like with any winger, you will get bad games. If they're not scoring or not assisting, it does look like a bad game in general. But you see he's putting the effort in. And I think that's happening on both sides. Both of them are working for the team, which is always good. And I think potentially, like you're saying, if Matondo's fit, or when we do eventually manage to bring in somebody else to play in that left side, that's when you might see Bajrami get his chance in the 10. That's why obviously it worked out quite well with Diamandi today, but I was kind of hoping for you to look at Lovelace again. When the change was happening, him going out to the left, being a direct, fast attacker, would have allowed Bajrami back in. But it worked out today. I thought Diamandi was really good when he came on. He provided a lot of energy that we didn't have with Lawrence there. So, but something to look at in the future.
Yeah, the future when we have at least 1 or 2 of our players made of glass back. I picked Matondo, completely forgetting that Oscar Cortés is still at the club. Having these guys back would certainly do us a world of good. Changing up, shuffle the pack a wee bit across the park. Certainly can't do us any harm after some games previously. Obviously, that takes us through to the final. It'll be a tough game. I think there's no way of saying it won't be, based on what we've seen from the other side of the city and in the previous match against them. Cheryl, it's part of me still thinks, cup final, different ball game to the league. We're obviously trying to retain said cup, but it's certainly going to be a difficult game. It's not one I'm particularly looking forward to, but I'm choosing to see it as an opportunity and not an awful day out, which it very well might be.
Do you know what? If he starts, and I seen it in the comments earlier, and I absolutely agree with it. See if he starts with something very, very similar to what we finished with today, then we maybe have a fighting chance. But I would more go again, as I said earlier, focus on that right back role. I get why he's starting with Dessers. It's no working. At least he changed it today. But if he starts with something similar to what we finished with today, then you never know. There is that wee bit of work. There is that wee bit of guile there. Fingers tight crossed that Danilo stays fit. We get him involved more because he just gives us so much more up front. And I think we've said it in the past when he's came back before, that maybe having the option of Danilo, if he is fit, takes that wee bit of pressure off Dessers as well. I don't know. I'm desperately searching for something that might help Dessers out a wee bit. But if he starts with what he started with today, then I think we're in trouble.
Talking about being in trouble, it's just come to my attention that is the weekend of the Rangers-Tottenham game in the Europa League. That's quite a tough 2-game stretch there, Calvin. I know it could be a very tough week. Never mind a very tough weekend. But we need to be optimistic, don't we?
Well, I think if you look at the Spurs game, you probably do get a free hit. The players aren't expected to win that game, so go out, perform, state your place for the Sunday, keep everybody fit is probably the most important thing. But it'll be an interesting week, definitely that one. If we get our usual Thursday performance where we do put in our shift and we work the 3 points, even get a draw against them in that stage. Hopefully that's enough to look into that final wee push. We'll see how it goes with that one. But I don't think we're even the most optimistic of fans is throwing the 3 points out there against Spurs straight away.
No, I'm not going to be making any bold predictions. That's for certain. We'll quickly, just to not go into it too much, obviously with the Monday flagship coming onto the channel tomorrow. So keep your eye out for that one. Obviously our next match is Olympiacos in the Europa League. It's a different beast, the Thursday night football. We seem to have a different energy about us. I think it missed the pressure off. I don't know if it's the style of football that we come up against. But leading into a Hearts game after that, I think if it could go right in the Thursday, we could be setting the ball rolling, Cheryl.
Yeah, you would hope so. And I suppose to take from today, Andy, we looked a wee bit more determined today than we have done. But there's been so many false dawns. I think we spoke about it last week. There's been so many times we've had a decent, at least twice this season, we've had decent Thursday night performances. We've had excellent results, and we're thinking, right, here we go. This will spur us on to the Sunday. And then it's just back to that kind of turgid, boring, slow, kind of passive football. So we've seen a wee bit of it today. Maybe a great result on Thursday, or a decent result could spur us on. Fingers crossed. Hearts have obviously got that new manager bounce as well, but it's at home. Good result on Thursday, decent starting team, maybe Danilo up front or a wee bit of rotation there. Fingers crossed.
Hey Calvin, it's 6 points each through 3 games. Rangers and Olympiacos. It's a tasty tie. I think if we could stake a claim to that one, that would certainly do us the world of good with the fixtures still to come. They certainly don't get any easier, that's for sure, until we get the 2 big games out the way. Your United and your Spurs. I think we've got USG later on, but by then, the business has probably been dealt. So that's a very important game Thursday night.
Yeah. I always think when it comes to European football, it does tend to suit us a bit better. You aren't playing against 11 men ahead of the ball. And I think that's where you tend to find we do get a lot better performances when they do have a bit more space to be creative and get chances. That's when your players like Czerny, etc., they get a chance to run at somebody rather than running at 3 guys cutting inside and then it's another person in behind them. So when it comes to Olympiacos, it's time to get back to the normal, usual Rangers Thursdays, as we call it.
Yes, the Rangers Thursday. Some joy to watch the team in blue. Hopefully there'll be no crash back down to earth against the Hearts from Edinburgh. But yeah, as I've said, that's all to come tomorrow on the flagship show. So be sure to tune into that one. I'm just looking around. Paisley being quite loud tonight. There was fireworks earlier. I wonder if one of the St Mirren players won their court case. So I had to get that one in there. But lots to come on the channel, so be sure to stay tuned. I'll just get into thanking my guests for this evening. Sheryl, top effort as always, the regular on that Sunday show. Thank you for joining me this evening.
No bother, thank you for having me, and nice to see you back, Calvin, as well.
Nice.
Yes, Calvin, a win to discuss, not the pain of regular Rangers. A nice win to discuss tonight. How was it, mate?
Much better. Much better. A lot happier occasion rather than fighting back the tears like there was the last time.
Fighting back the tears. Don't throw it away too far. It could be around the corner as always with Rangers this season. I think that'll wrap us up. Thank you again to our sponsors: Rhino Express, Cliveview Joinery, Athol Industrial Solutions, CSD Air Conditioning, Black Rooster, and Art of Gold. I've been your host this evening, Andrew Stewart. It's been a good one. Let's hope for more of this in the future. Until then, thank you very much and good.
Four Lads podcast is sponsored by Rhino Express, Cliveview Joinery, Athol Industrial Solutions Limited and CSD Air Conditioning, along with Art of Gold. Thank you for listening or watching the podcast. We hope you enjoyed the show.